welcome in India today Shefali Shah, Rajesh Tailang and Richie Mehta. Shefali and Rajesh, both actors for Delhi Crime, and Richie Mehta, the director. Welcome. It's an honor to have you all, and congratulations on actually winning the top honors in the drama category for the International Emmy Awards. I'll begin with you, Richie. Did you expect it at all?
No. I don't know if you saw the speech, but I was really very shocked. I never expected to get this far in any sense, but it's you take it as it goes, and it's an award for the entire show. It's for the entire series. It's not an award for me. So I'm really proud of what that represents internationally.
Shefali, were you expecting anything at all in this, that you guys would win the best drama category in the International Emmy Awards?
Well, I wasn't expecting it, but I would have been surprised if we hadn't.
Mr. Tailang?
मैं nomination तक नहीं, but nomination के बाद I was quite hopeful, quite sure about it.
All right, I was listening to your, right now, Mr. Mehta, I was listening to your speech. And what's interesting is you did give the credit to Nirbhaya. Her mother has now come out with the name Jyoti, and especially her mother, who fought like a 7-year-long battle.
उनको बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद देती हूँ कि उन्होंने संघर्ष किया और उन्होंने एक समाज में एक जागरूकता के रूप में इसको दिखाया। जो अवार्ड मिला उन्होंने निर्भया को समर्पित किया। बहुत अच्छा है। मुझे भी अच्छा लगता है कि लोग आज भी निर्भया को अपने मान सम्मान से सम्मानित करते हैं।
Did you meet the mother?
I would not have proceeded if she was completely against the idea of it, because when I told her what I was trying to do, it coincided with her fight for justice. It coincided with the awareness campaign that she is on. She speaks all over the country about awareness for women's rights, women's issues, for justice for women, and this is the same motivations that Chaya had, same motivations that a lot of these police officers had. When she understood that integrity, then we proceeded.
We spoke to Chaya Sharma, so when she realized that this series has won the International Emmy, she says, I just couldn't control my emotion. What were yours?
Well, I was screaming, I was ecstatic, I was euphoric, and I still am. I mean, it's just, I think it is the emotion that everyone shared, right? All of us here, our entire team, and I guess the nation, that excitement and the joy and the euphoria of actually winning the Emmys.
While we were talking to Ms. Sharma, Ms. Shah, and she said that, during the course of the investigation, it was so painstaking, because I would reckon this was one could go into cliches and call it one of India's darkest nights, and then, of course, what ensued, which carried on for 7 years. And then, of course, the crux of the investigation, to draw from something so dark. What was your process?
Well, when the case happened, when it disturbed and it scarred us for life. When I heard this story or this part of the incident from Rishi, I was completely unaware of it. And like a lot of us was sitting on the outside, and there was this anger and angst and pain and an outcry for justice. And one of the main things I think all of us thought was, why is no one doing anything about this? And when Rishi spoke to me about what he was creating, I got to know that there was someone who was doing something about it, and it was a woman. And exactly what Chaya ma'am must have gone through. Isn't that what all of us went through? The difference is she channelized that anger. She channelized it drove her to find justice, to catch the guys.
As a journalist, Ms. Shah, when I was covering it, I was on ground, multiple conversations with the DCP then, who was Chaya Sharma, whose part you portrayed. I'm sure you must have spoken to her multiple times to draw on your character. Was there something which struck, with something she said during the investigations to you, something that happened? Do you have a memory of that?
A lot of things. A lot of things. I met Chaya ma'am very briefly, though. over a coffee. But before that, Rishi had interacted with her so much that everything that she gave, he had it in his script. It was a great manuscript to grow from. But I remember distinctly that the smallest and the biggest questions I had, she would be kind enough to answer. I mean, whether it was the police protocol, or it was how you wear your uniform, or just what she felt and how she handled it. You know, so what did I learn from her? A lot. But I think we wanted to imbibe the emotion behind it, the emotion of what she felt and how it drove her. It wasn't about recreating a person. It was creating Vartika on her own, but with the same heart and mind and soul. And she was great. I mean, the smallest of things. And whatever she told me made a lot of difference. A lot of difference. You know how, I remember once I messaged her and I said, can I roll up my sleeves? This is a really silly question. It might sound silly to you. And she said it was December and it was one of the coldest days of the year. And we didn't have a heater. And that doesn't just go to show whether I rolled my sleeves or I didn't, but the fact that we didn't have a heater, that kind of, I mean, it's a big part of what their lives are. You know, their lives are not convenient. Their lives are not easy. So yeah, like everything, I mean, she was there to answer it. And then Rishi was there and it was just great. I had a fantastic backup.
You know, you portrayed the role of DCP Sharma, and Mr. Tailang, you portrayed the role of Rajinder Singh. He was an inspector then. And for anyone, you know, as a journalist, I've tracked the entire case right till the culmination of the hanging. If a name goes down in the annals of criminal investigation in terms of cases, it would be Inspector Rajinder Singh, who handled Nirbhaya's case. Of course, he's retired as ACP right now. And, you know, I've been through so many, you know, day after day, hearing after hearing, you'd see the parents and you'd see Rajinder Singh in court. How did you draw from the entire experience of playing Rajinder Singh?
Like Shefali said, Rishi ne sari script, matlab for us actors, script is Bible, na? Script में जो होता है उसी के अराउंड आपको रहना है और उसी में ही अपने इंस्पिरेशन को खोजना है, उसी में करना है. तो सारा मेनली जो सारा हिस्सा है वो स्क्रिप्ट में ऑलरेडी था. But I met Rajinder Singh a few times and मैंने उनसे जो इंस्पिरेशन उनसे जो गैदर करके अपने कैरेक्टर में पकड़ने की कोशिश की इज हिज प्रेजेंस. उनकी प्रेजेंस इतनी पॉजिटिव और एश्योरिंग है कि जब वो आसपास होते हैं तो ऐसा लगता है कि घबराने की बात नहीं है. सो दैट्स व्हाट आई ट्राई टू कैप्चर, हिज सोल, हिज एसेंस ऑफ हिज प्रेजेंस.
बहुत अच्छी बात है कि पूरी की पूरी स्टार कास्ट को मेरी तरफ से और हमारी पूरी एसआईटी की टीम की तरफ से बहुत बहुत जो है बधाई हो. केस का सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट ये था, जैसे ही कॉल आई उसकी ग्रेविटी को समझा गया उसी टाइम जो भी पुलिस टीम थी हमारी उसके द्वारा, और उसी के अनुरूप फिर एफर्ट्स भी उसी ढंग से किए गए. किसी भी पुलिस टीम के लिए, किसी भी इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी के लिए बहुत ही अच्छी बात है कि जिसके अगेंस्ट या जिसके प्रति इंसिडेंट हुआ है और विक्टिम जो है वो अगर उस पूरे टाइम के साथ अगर पुलिस टीम के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है तो वो पुलिस टीम के लिए अच्छी बात है. इस मामले में हमारे साथ यही हुआ कि निर्भया के जो माता पिता थे और जो उनका पूरी की पूरी सभी मेंबर्स थे जो फैमिली के, वो फर्स्ट दिन से 16 दिसंबर से लेकर लास्ट तक जिस दिन उसकी फांसी की सज़ा हुई तब तक वो और अब भी हमारे साथ जो है वो बने हुए हैं. उन्होंने कभी भी दिल्ली पुलिस पे अपना कॉन्फिडेंस लूज नहीं किया.
जो राजेंद्र सिंह जी थे तब वो मतलब मेन इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग ऑफिसर थे. हम हमेशा उनसे जो भी इन्फो आता था उन्हीं के थ्रू आता था, पर आता ही नहीं था क्योंकि वो इतने प्रोफेशनल थे तो मीडिया को बहुत कम इन्फॉर्मेशन दी जाती थी उस वक्त. पर अभी भी हमने बात की, बड़े क्लिप्ड है जैसे डीसीपी छाया शर्मा जी ने हमसे पूरी खुल के बात की, उन्होंने बस हमें एक स्टेटमेंट दिया, बहुत खुश हैं, बहुत अच्छा है कि ये जीत गया है शो, उनके आगे उन्होंने बात नहीं की है। अब पर उस वक्त अगर हम जाएं तैलांग जी, और आपको भी पता ही होगा, जैसे उन्होंने इन्वेस्टिगेट किया, ये पहला केस होगा कोई क्राइम इन्वेस्टिगेशन का कि डिजिटली जो अक्यूज थे उनको आइडेंटिफाई किया, टीथ मार्क पहली बार यूज किए और इनकी वजह से यूज हुए थे, जो राजेंद्र सिंह जी हैं। तो आपने ये सब कैसे इसको पीस टुगेदर कैसे किया आपने कैरेक्टर में?
लाइक आई सेड कि स्क्रिप्ट इज द बाइबल। मतलब मैं चाहे मेरे पास स्क्रिप्ट के अलावा बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन हो, लाइक दिस केस फाइल्स एंड द कोर्ट जजमेंट, ये सारी चीजें हों, और ऋषि ने इतनी लंबी रिसर्च की थी, उस रिसर्च की बहुत सारी बातें उन्होंने मुझे अलग से भी बताई थी। लेकिन कई बार क्या होता है कि बाहर की जो सारी जो आपकी एक्स्ट्रा इंफॉर्मेशन है जो स्क्रिप्ट में नहीं है, वो कई बार आपको क्या कहते हैं, डिस्ट्रैक्ट भी कर सकती है। तो एज एन एक्टर मैं हमेशा जो स्क्रिप्ट में दिया हुआ है उसी पे ही रहने की कोशिश करता हूं। अगर बाहर की इंफॉर्मेशन है, इफ इट हेल्प्स मी, तो आई विल यूज दैट।
Rishi, how bittersweet is this? Because it's such a big win, based on an incident which would be, I would reckon, one of India's most shameful moments.
Oh, there's two sides to this. One is I don't celebrate the existence of this show. I wish the show didn't exist. I wish there was no need to make anything like this. Secondly, the reason I wanted to make it was because I approached it the same way. I thought this was one of India's most shameful moments, and it was. And yet, it was also one of India's brightest moments when you look at all the people on the other side of it who fought it and who continue to fight it. And that dichotomy, to me, was the reason this existed.
Shefali Shah, do you think things have changed a little? Because, there's an actor, of course, who played the role of the DCP, who was the chief investigator, who was heading the team, which was investigating the show. And then there was a citizen, where you watch, you saw, you were in horror. Do you think things changed as a society?
Well, honestly, there are years and years of patriarchy or of gender discrimination or crime against women. And it can't change just because of a show. That's a very big onus to put on a show. Yes, there are conversations that started because of the show. And like Rishi correctly said, this is not only about the dark side of that night. It was also about someone who went out and cracked it and got justice. So to expect a change, well, it needs social reforms, it needs government reforms, it needs education, it needs changing a mindset from home to home level, from family to family. It's not just one person's onus. All of us have to do what we can towards it. And it's going to be a long, long way.
But, Ms. Shah, do you think the reality of it all, that this was an incident where the centerpiece of it was a horrific incident where a girl was brutalized, she was murdered, and then the heroine of it all was also the mother somewhere down the line who fought a 7-year-old long battle for her daughter, and the person investigating, the head of the team, was also a woman. So would you reckon, because usually if this series was made, let's say 10 years ago in India, would it be portrayed differently? Would a character like you would possibly be subdued and maybe a Rajinder Singh would be the real hero?
Well, yeah, maybe. But the fact is that someone out there decided to cast me and make this about women. And I think it's been very evident from whatever she has said that what drove him was this whole case, whether in real or real, was driven by women. The show was driven by women. And it's... well, would they have changed it and made Rajendra or a male hero just because? How can you change certain facts? It's not right. It's not.
It's known to have happened. It's known to have happened with various incidents that were recorded cinematically, especially in India. But yes, I would.
There was a very sensible man who was making this show then. Must say that.
But I'll come back to you, Mr. Mehta, on this. For anyone who's seen it, I've seen it. I covered the story. In my newsroom, there were so many people who've seen your series and they love it. and everybody just talk about how realistic it was.
It was very important to me to be real, to minimize to remove melodrama, to have the pillars of the show based on the truth and the reality of the investigation, and to ultimately get to the truth of the integrity of it, the emotional truth of it. That was the most important thing. You can use all of the investigative tools you want. It can be very boring. But really what I wanted to do was get to the truth of what this represents to us, and then surround it with all those facts. Obviously, it's a fictionalized dramatization of events, as we know. But I also felt that no matter what, the highest dramatic points or the craziest dramatic points would not be fabricated, no matter what. Those are our pillars. The pillars were reality.
You know, if I can just get like one question from both the actors in the show is, did you have one moment, one point where you sat down and the enormity of the incident hit while you were enacting the role of the DCP?
The first time Rishi met me, it hit me. It hit me really hard because I didn't know this side of the story, and this story had to be told. And it was a case that had deeply, deeply affected us. So every single time I went on set, it was always feeling the same kind of emotions that were driven at that point of time.
Anger?
Complete anger. The scene where we interrogate Jai Singh, I wanted to, what he said, or what he did to her, it was almost like, it was like a physical trauma to me in my gut. And I wanted to tear him apart with my nails. I wanted to just claw him apart. So I think, and that was the anger. I mean, yeah, that could have been the moment, but every single moment.
Mr. Tailang, I'll take the same question from you. That one moment where it hit home.
I think the same moment that Shefali is talking about, where Jai Singh is describing how he did the crime and why he did the crime. And he thinks that he was justified doing it. तो वो बहुत ज़्यादा, मतलब उस वक्त सच में इतना गुस्सा था, जैसे वो कह रहे हैं चीर फाड़ देते, मुझे भी लगा. और वो तब पता लगता है कि अब तक हम सिर्फ क्राइम के बारे में जान रहे थे, लेकिन वो क्या मेंटालिटी है जो ये क्राइम कराती है. I think that hit hard while doing the scene.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you all three for joining us. Look forward to another series, from all three of you. Mr. Mehta, maybe. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.